Welcome back, everybody, to episode 22 of the Between Two Tales podcast. My name is Kevin. I'm joined by my co host, Dave. Appreciate all the people that are coming back and listening in to another episode. And of course, appreciate all the newcomers who are listening in now. So, Dave, why don't you let the people know who are new what we do on the show?
Yes, for those of you who are new, what you're about to experience is a story created, an outline for a story at least, created from 5 randomly generated words. On top of that, we're going to have 2 randomly generated pictures that we need to incorporate into the story some way, somehow. Now, while we're working with those words and creating this story or this outline of a story, we're also going to be running up against the clock. So once Kevin has generated our images, I'll start a timer for 90 minutes, and we'll have to come up with that outline in that time. At the very end, Kevin's going to do something very interesting that we've been doing now for, I won't say all of our episodes, but pretty early on. Kevin, if you would like to share what that is.
Yeah, so after we generate our 5 words and our 2 images, we're going to create our story, and then we're going to go to an AI tool called ChatGPT, and we're going to give ChatGPT the same prompts, themes that we've used to generate our own story. Sometimes we go a little broader with it just to see what kind of story ChatGPT generates. Sometimes we give it more specific stuff that we came up with ourselves just to see if it comes up with a better story. But either way, we're 22 episodes in. So far, from our opinion, ChatGPT hasn't been able to create a story that has held a candle to what Dave and I have created, meaning human creativity still reigns supreme as of today. Yep. Never know in the future. But, as AI models get smarter and whatnot, I'm sure you can get closer. Sometimes it's come pretty close. But last week, not so much. And we'll see what happens today. So with that being said, let's generate these words. Okay. Let me share my screen. Well, let me pull up the random image generator.
Hopefully we get some good images and words today.
We got some, we asked for random images last week. We got a purple teddy bear and a daisy or a flower. So that was as random.
The way we incorporated the purple teddy bear was something
the best.
Oh, one of the
best. Absolute best. Okay, 1 spin. Everyone knows the rules. Okay, so we got bounce,
roll,
time, normal, facts, huh? Digress.
That is interesting. You're like, man, who uses facts anymore?
I think people still have them for whatever reason.
I know you still can at like FedEx or something like that.
It's just so like
certain government.
I never saw the point of it when email exists because it's like, what? You're just wasting paper.
Wait, yeah, exactly.
I do remember my first intern job. I was working for an accounting firm back in high school, and I faxed it the wrong way. I put the paper in backwards. So all the people, I faxed like 50 different like clients or something. And I put the paper backwards, and they all got a blank sheet of paper that was faxed. And they all kept emailing, and my manager was like, "Did you fax a blank piece of paper?" And I was like, "Oh, my bad." So
well, at least you didn't waste
my
a piece of paper.
That was my experience with a fax machine.
Yeah, at least you just put it back in. I had to fax something. It was at FedEx, and I think it was some kind of government document or something like this. I don't even fully remember what was going on, but it's so annoying because it's kind of hard to figure out. I'm like, wait, is this paper the right? Because I didn't want to fax a blank piece of paper. And FedEx, they charge you by the page or whatever. So I'm just like, man, if I mess this up, I'm getting charged by the page of blankness.
Right. It's annoying. Like, just send an email with a PDF attached.
Though I do suppose it's more secure in a sense, but that's only as good as the person you're sending it to.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So we digress using
Yeah.
one of our words on our list here. So, for those of you listening, to recap, the 5 words we got were bounce, time, normal, facts, and digress. So, now we're going to generate our images. Let's see what comes up here. Okay, so we
Ooh.
got
Sunset surfing.
a woman who's surfing near sunset. So, that's pretty cool.
Is that woman? I think you could probably blow up the.
No, that's a dude.
That's a guy.
That's a guy. My bad.
Yeah, and the only reason why I bring it up is because I feel like the couple images we have gotten is usually always a woman in there, or it's just like a random inanimate object. But I think this might be the first time we got like a guy in an image.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Sunset surfing. I mean, this image looks beautiful. I wish that for those of you listening, you could see this image. It's a really
Sweet picture, of course. Yep. Second image. Hold on, let me take note of
gonna
that.
be like molten lava. Let me not put that out there.
Let's see what we get. What is this?
Whoa.
What
What?
is this?
Scroll down. Was the
A parasite.
an AI generated parasite? That looks
I
like
wish you
something.
guys could see this thing. This thing is
What?
creepy. Whoa. So this is a blown up microscopic image of a parasite.
I think we just use it as like parasite, but an AI generated. This thing looks like something from a nightmare or like a really crazy sci-fi film.
I thought this was, what are those things called? A sea anemone at first.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I could see the outside of it, but that whatever that inside stuff, which looks like tubes to eat,
This
really
is,
creepy.
it's just creepy.
And
Parasite.
the timer
Wow,
has
okay.
started. I could look at that thing longer, but timer has started. Okay, so we have a guy surfing who gets a parasite from the water.
And it
Uh,
starts a zombie apocalypse.
Maybe when I had initially saw that image of that parasite, it made me think of, even though it's very loose connection, but it made me think of, oh boy, let me come back to that because there's a film that popped into my mind, and for whatever reason, Amy Adams is in it, and
Can't say I know who that is off the top of
oh,
my head.
Arrival. You ever seen Arrival?
Let me look at the.
Jeremy Renner, Forrest Whitaker, top billing there.
This looks familiar.
It's like these oval shaped things, aliens come down, and Amy Adams has to figure out their language in order to communicate with them and find out if they're there as a threat to mankind or if they're there to help mankind. And the alien creatures, looking
Mhm.
at that parasite, that AI generated parasite photo, it reminded me of the creatures from Arrival.
Interesting. Yeah,
And,
interesting.
and that whole film hinged on the complexity of the human language, like how sometimes something can be a tool, but it can also be a weapon, right? Take a knife, it can be a tool, it can be a
Yep.
weapon. And trying to teach that to another being that doesn't have any of the language structures that are currently exist on our planet, and then like figure that out. And it kind of poses the U.S. versus China against each other in a sense of like, okay, we're all trying to work together to either protect humanity, one, protect humanity, or two, like, hey, maybe we can become friends. China in this story has a more aggressive take on these alien creatures,
Mhm.
and the U.S. is also aggressive to a certain extent, but those who hold the power are more apprehensive before like actually taking aggressive acts. So they're trying to determine like, hey, should we be bombing this thing right now, or like should we
Right.
be trying to like figure out if they're friendly? And China is also trying to do that, but at a certain point they're like, nah, man, we're gonna go ahead and start launching at this thing. But very interesting film. All that to
Hmm.
say is, the words that we have: balance, time, normal, facts, digress. That can work in really any story. To me, the focus,
Right.
and I want to hear your thoughts. I'm just telling you what popped into my mind when I heard Parasite, and then obviously, the other, I think it's the South Korean film Parasite, came to my mind second, just off the word, obviously, because that's the name of it. And then so the guy surfing, sunset surfing, and Parasite seems to be like something where we can figure out what kind of story we want to create. But I'm curious. to hear like what came to mind for you. And
Well, when I saw that creepy looking parasite, I was like, well, gotta be some kind of zombie World War Z. That's obviously the first thing that came to my mind because I was thinking of. I think there's like I saw TikTok videos of this. Like, there's certain parasites that live in some insects or something that take over their mind.
oh, like yeah,
It's like creepy.
yeah, you're basically talking like the cordyceps. You're basically talking about The Last of Us, their concept with ants and how like these parasites take over, like start to grow these cordyceps out of the ant's head, and then they take over their body and
Right,
bring it
right, right.
back to the colony and infect them all.
Yeah, right, right, yeah. But a quarter, I forgot about The Last of Us because
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about The Last of Us because that's a fungus, right? The cordyceps.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the same manner, basically in that same manner. Man,
It's like pretty much it sounds like our ideas are surrounding or circling something about world destruction or well, they're both world destruction, but what world destruction or kind of a secondary idea that I had was like get off Earth, but
yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have to be that too.
no, it
We could
doesn't.
completely flip the script because the other thing I thought of on the opposite end, maybe our main character, like this is what he loves to do, surf, and then he contracts a parasite that just puts him
Yeah,
like bedridden and he
yeah,
can't do nothing.
yeah,
And from my experience, I've worked in the section of the hospital where all the infectious disease stuff is. Sometimes these doctors don't know what the patient has. So they're testing like different treatments
yeah.
to really spot out like what kind of like mold, fungus, or bacteria this patient is suffering from. So like it could be the same for this guy.
Yeah, it could. It definitely
Like
could.
I heard the scariest story. It turned me into a hypochondriac. This guy who I'm friends with on Facebook, he said one day he was just playing video games. He's a really successful business dude. He was just playing video games one day, and then he just heard a clicking in his brain.
Hmm.
It's like weird, but all of a sudden he couldn't sleep. Like as tired as his body felt, he just could not sleep. And he stayed awake for like weeks. And the doctors, he went to a bunch of doctors, and they couldn't tell what was wrong with him. Excuse me. And it was until he finally found somebody who knew exactly like his symptoms he was describing. He had an idea of what the culprit was, and it ended up being like black mold or something,
Hmm.
something that's not very common.
Yeah.
But it's if it does get you, it's not good news. So they finally figured out what it was, so he got the right treatment, and then he got rid of it. But it's crazy with those things. Now I'm being reminded of that show on Discovery Channel. If you really want to be scared of everything, it's that show with like people contract like bacteria and viruses from like oh my god, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's on Discovery. It's like what's inside me or something. Hold on,
What's living in you or monsters inside me?
monsters inside me. Yeah, monsters inside me. That's right. Yeah, that show is basically all about all these different people that randomly they contract like some very contagious resilient form of bacteria to like
Hmm.
and it just like runs havoc through their body. So there's that. So it could be like the story of this dude. He's contracted this parasite. No one knows what it is, and then they finally figure it out some way somehow. Maybe he was surfing and he
Even from there, we could also make it,
turns into a zombie apocalypse. No, just kidding.
well, we can also from there think about it like this, and I'm just throwing it out there, not that we have to do it, but more on the ridiculous side, just for shits and giggles, as it were. This parasite, because the parasite is just something that's kind of attaching to a host, right?
Yep.
And then like living in them and taking their, food or whatever nutrients from them. And so part of it could be, okay, one option is the surfer guy has this parasite and it takes away his ability. The other option is he's like, okay, he got this competition and then he actually, the parasite makes him way better at surfing or something. I don't know. Like it just, I'm almost thinking like Venom from Spider-Man. Like,
Right.
you have when Venom gets in your system, like, or whatever. I don't remember if he gets in your system or if it's just something that you can pull off. I think there's different versions of Venom, anyways. But once he's like in your system, right, like, he becomes this monster and
Yep.
is able to accomplish all these heroic things. You can also take it like this. So like that's on like, okay, he becomes better and at what he does, right?
Mhm.
And you can also take it where it's like you have the surfer guy. Surfing is just what he so happens to do. He contracts it in the water, let's say. But the parasite takes over his body and his mind to a certain extent, and he turns into a murderer or something. I don't know. He starts to commit these crimes. Like the parasite alters his brain to where he's committing crimes and these things that he wouldn't typically have done or normally have done before anyway. But now his brain is taken over, and the new organism has a different set of morals and rules.
I kind of that side is kind of interesting. Like a parasite giving people superpowers,
Yeah.
creating like heroes and villains, whatever.
Oh, yeah. So maybe
Or
there's multiple people that got this parasite, and how it plays out for them is like
yeah, maybe
weird.
they turn into people. Yeah, there's
Like
two ideas.
how they use that power, like this newfound strength or whatever. I don't know. Is
So when you were talking about
what it's done.
Venom, there was two ideas that you said two things, like alter the brain and then Venom. The first one, well, altering the brain. I was just thinking about this dude. This parasite enters him. All of a sudden, he has like telepathy and he can read minds. And then he becomes,
Okay.
I don't know, maybe he becomes like a gambler or whatever. Starts reading cards. He knows what the dealer has, so he's betting all these things on blackjack and winning, but no one knows how he's winning so much. That's
Mm.
one end. And then the other one is, yeah, these people get like powers or something with these parasites in them, like how it affects their specific DNA, brings out a power in them. And then the third one, when you were talking about when it affects his head and it turns into a different person. A funnier side would, maybe he turns into a superhero at night, starts beating up all these bad guys, but he doesn't know it when he becomes
Oh.
the
Mm.
regular person during the day.
So
So like
he's
these,
beating up all these
maybe beat
bad
up,
guys, but he's basically like
beat
a
up the,
superhero, just doesn't know it.
yeah, maybe beat up some mob dudes, and now they're after him, and he's like, "Why are these guys trying to kill me?"
I like that. But like when it comes to like the parasite at certain times takes over, and maybe part of this is just like he's trying to figure out how to get the parasite to like do its thing. You know what I mean? Like when he needs it to do its thing, and it's like, I can't get it to work.
Yeah,
Like when he really needs it to save his life.
yeah, yeah. So there's a bunch of interesting lines we can go there.
So he beats up a mob guy. All right,
Mm,
I think it's more interesting that the parasite like controls him versus he loses the ability to do what he wants. I mean, that's not a bad story, but that's like a very like the storyline is doing what he loves to do. Parasite, slow decline. Either he gets health, either this gets figured out, he gets healthy, or he doesn't and dies. Very kind of straightforward. Parasite taking over someone's brain, and then like this superhero mate. I won't say superhero, but like vigilante type thing
yeah.
that it could embody. And he's over here just like beating up mobsters, or I don't know, like criminals.
So is
And
he more like Venom, where he can communicate with his
that's
host?
what
Or
I'm wondering. I'm like, is it like Venom, like where he tries to communicate, but maybe he doesn't communicate with it via like talking. Like maybe he has to communicate with it in a different manner.
let me see. Maybe he
Like
becomes someone
maybe it doesn't
different.
know what he's thinking. Like it's two sides of the brain. It's like, or
Well, they communicate through each other, just
or
like
they have
writing notes.
I was just about to say that, man. Like they have to write. Like so, this side is saying like wants to say something. This side doesn't know. You have to write it down. The eyes will process it, and the other side then knows. The parasite then knows what you're trying to communicate.
Right, like both sides have the same memories, right? Because they're of the
Same
same
memories,
person.
yeah, but they just They don't know what the other one's thinking.
Right, right, right. Oh, that's interesting. That'd be funny. Yeah,
I think it will be funny.
because like the guy beats up a mobster and he writes a note to himself. He's like, "You need to run. These guys are after you." And maybe it's because this parasite, it's like weak when the sun is out or something. So it only comes alive at night. That's where he becomes.
Parasite goes to sleep,
Yeah, that's when he becomes a
and
superhero. The different version of himself at night.
Parasite goes to sleep, and then at night, he's prowling around.
So how does he contract this thing? Because like when I was first thinking about that multiple people get this thing, I was like, oh, a boat carrying.
If we discuss that real quick about the multiple people, it made me think of, I guess it was CW or CB or whatever, or BWB TV show back in the day for the superhero Static Shock.
Yep,
And they had these bang babies or whatever. And then, Static had electric power. Some of them had all sorts of different types of powers, right?
yep,
And I think most of the folks that got it in the show because they were at the docks, it was there for a gang war. Like they were there for a gang war fight. So obviously, most of them were like everyone was bad, except for Static, who got like wrapped up in the wrong thing. So I'm like, all right, if we do this thing, like some folks end up being bad, whether or not there actually are without the parasite, but the parasite might like in that case, it might amplify their personality,
yeah.
and along with whatever strength or whatever, it amplifies their personality. And then I was thinking they get it from the water. Maybe there's like a nice trip to like some like wonderful, not well known surfing ground somewhere on this planet, and people want to get there so that way they can conquer the surf. And
I was thinking like literally like a boat carrying some of this stuff. It just spills out in the water and just
travels in,
travels
and
travels
they get
in.
it. I mean, either way, we still need to figure out how we get the parasite there, and so that could be how the parasite gets there. I guess my only question is, do we want others to get it?
Yeah,
If others get it, our main guy gets it. Obviously, at night, parasite comes to play. During the day, it's asleep or whatever. Okay, so at night he's over here kicking ass and taking names, right? And then we get to our crescendo where he has to go against someone else who also has the parasite in them. And maybe he, already met this person before at the beach or something. I don't know. But this person's a terrible person, right? But they're not necessarily enemies. Like they're just a terrible person. But whatever we do, we work it up, and then the crescendo is like this person also has a parasite. So it's like the strength of the parasites against each other. It's sort of like the end of that Hulk film, The Incredible Hulk, when it was a Hulk against the Abomination.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, we can do that. It just so happened there was a bad guy surfing with him. Doesn't know he's bad. They just happen to be in the same area.
Yeah.
They both get the
Hey,
parasite.
maybe they know each other. Maybe they went to school together. Maybe whatever. Like they know each other, but they don't know each other. Like in that sense, like maybe our main character and his friends, will give him a sidekick, a friend who turns into a sidekick. Knows that like that guy over there is POS, and leave him alone, like leave him be because he's just a terrible person, and he's like the worst guy on the beach. What I mean, he doesn't care about the safety of others when he's surfing, that kind of deal. Litters or something like this, and then like some people just treat him as like he's a terrible person and try to ignore him, kind of deal. And he so happens to also get this parasite.
Yeah, or he can either be a piece of garbage, or he could be like that weird, quiet kid who just gets it and turns evil.
Well, do we want? Do we, it could be. And then, so the quiet kid is not necessarily a bad person, but the parasite in him makes him like a bad person. And so, like, when they have the battle, they have to just. I feel like part of this battle is also to get the parasite out. And it's like maybe in order to get the parasite out, they have to fight till sunrise or something. I don't know. And then once sunrise breaks, the parasite leaves the body or something. I don't know. Or I don't know. how do they usually take out certain parasites? They draw out. Like I've seen, it's not really well, I guess technically it is a parasite, but like you ever see, this is really gross. You ever seen a bot fly attached to a person and lay its eggs?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yes,
Yeah.
freaking terrible. Um, technically that's a parasite. It's another living organism into another living being and living off their nutrients. So like when they remove those things, usually some people's like hands typically. I saw one of this poor little baby, man. Like they said they were like petting a cow or something like this, and they think some kind of transfer happened, or they were around cows, but and since it's a baby, it can't like react to like move its hand from a fly, that would land on it. It's just kind
Yeah.
of like whatever. It had this like bot fly right there, right in
Yeah.
between the thumb and the pointer, and they put like Vaseline over the top of the hole, and then the thing had to come up to breathe and like try to punch through the Vaseline. And then when they did that, they took the little tweezer and yanked it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's disgusting. But I'm thinking for this parasite, how do we
You can
ultimately yank it out?
yank it out, or the host has to die. I mean, there's like two
Well,
options.
or the host has to die.
So if they're yanking it out, I guess it depends on where this thing is living. If it's living inside the head, then the guy has to die.
That's right. Maybe it pokes its way through the eye, it comes out the side, and you gotta just yank it out.
Maybe you just got.
Or maybe this guy has a full. See, I'm thinking in terms of my bald head, but maybe this person, they have full heads of hair, and this thing, it's like, hey, they smarter folks, doctors or someone, I don't know, comes to the realization that this thing needs to still breathe. Where is it breathing from? And maybe they start to move around this person's hair or whatever, and they find a little small hole somewhere on their head and realize that's where this parasite's been able to get its air. It just didn't know because all his wonderful locks cover.
Or they could just suffocate the dude, and the parasite has to comes crawling out his ear or something.
I mean,
I mean, you don't have to kill him, but like,
the question is how long. Like, you start to suffocate them. It's like, will that thing come out faster or before he dies of
yeah, it would have to. I mean, we could put it like that. Like it,
good.
like the a person can hold their breath for 60 seconds, but this thing, since it's breathing through, since it's getting air when this guy is breathing, maybe like it can only last 30 seconds without air or something. So it starts to pin and starts to try to get out.
That would also still work for the hole theory, the hole in the hair.
Yeah, that too.
If you block off any access to air,
Right. Right. Well, I guess
or they have to use, or maybe they have to use like radiation. I don't know, and it gets uncomfortable, and then it has to. It's like I need to get out of here.
maybe it doesn't like cold. So they put this guy in a ice plunge, make him sit there,
Yeah,
and got hypothermia. This thing comes crawling out.
yeah, and he has to endure the cold while the thing tries to take over. That's interesting. This thing tries to take over again. He's over here punching a hole through the ice, let's say, or whatever. For a reason, I envisioned him taking an ice plunge into a frozen lake or something, and then covered with a sheet of ice, and he's about to drown, and this thing starts to take over, and his strength is coming to him as the parasite is trying to survive it. Before it has to get out. Interesting.
Well,
Yeah,
we can
this is
figure that
very.
out.
I just realized this is very at Netflix show.
Which
What's
one?
Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, it is kind of
That kid had that parasite. I don't remember how he got the parasite, but that kid had that parasite in him in the
oh
first season or whatever.
because he went to the upside down world,
Yeah,
or he got caught by the thing. I forgot the name of the
yeah,
monster.
yeah. The Demi Gorgon.
Demigorgon. Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like that. Yeah, I'm surprised I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that.
He got caught by it, and that infected him, and he was able to. go into the upside down world or something,
Yeah,
something like that.
I haven't seen it. I mean, that shows. I haven't seen the last season. Okay, so we're gonna do. It sounds like we're gonna do a surfer guy gets a parasite, becomes a badass.
So are
Uh,
they getting superpowers, or are they just getting like a more
adapt.
stronger version of themselves?
I think they get a more stronger version of themselves.
Okay.
And then, so this you said the quiet, weird kid. I think, yeah,
See, this
quiet,
would like this would be funny because if our main character is like some skinny dude and he turns into the superhero at night, and the superhero at night is all about like lifting weights and trying to get stronger. He like starts working out at night, eating
weird.
protein, and then the guy wakes up. He sees like he's starting to get muscles and whatnot.
I mean, don't forget, man, in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, the night after he got bit by the spider, this man went to go put on his glasses. He was like, "Wait, I don't even need these." And then, he looked at himself in the mirror, and his biceps and triceps and everything just were instantly bigger. So we could do something like that. Like, you have this period over the night where he's like sick and feeling like something terrible is happening to him, and then all of a sudden, by the morning, he's like, I won't say he's buff, but he's buff, and etc.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
And maybe he was wearing glasses. Same thing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
He takes them off. He's like, oh, I can see. Ooh, or even another version of that. These are like small details.
Yeah.
Maybe he was like colorblind and now he can see in color. And he's like, whoa,
This
what's
is what.
going on?
Let's see. All right. Let's get, we have about just an hour. I think we more or less we kind of verbalized our entire story, so I'm not worried about it. But let's get some names.
So our antagonist is going to be the quiet kid who is always bullied. He turns into a supervillain. Maybe takes over the criminal organization that's in their city.
He could take it over. He can start one. He could create one. He could.
Yeah, he probably takes it over. Like beats up their boss or something. Kills their boss. Takes it over. And then our superhero, ends up getting into their business. Beats up some of their henchmen. And then it becomes an eventual they just meet each other after all these sequence of events.
Okay, he'll take over criminal organization and runs it. Thanos beats up the criminals. You know what? There's also a thing here where these parasites have been in battle with each other for a long time. Like just some ancient parasites that have been battling with each other since. Well,
What does
I
that
don't.
sound like? I feel like I've heard that premise before. So there's like some ancient organisms that are just enemies of each other.
Yeah, and they take one takes over. The bad one takes over the good quiet kid. The good one, for a protagonist, and it's like they naturally find their. We don't have to outline that per se in this, but it's something interesting in
It
that.
would be interesting if we
You
can
know,
create the right origin story for those parasites.
yeah,
That reminds me of kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, they have in the original show, the first season. I mean, those group of people, they have their Millennium items, and they turn like Yugi.
yeah,
He is the Pharaoh, and when he needs the duel, he turns into Yami. And then the same goes for like his friend, who's an evil guy.
yeah,
Actually, he's a good guy, but he turns into that evil dude with the gray hair, Tora. But like those spirits are kind of like parasites, I guess.
yeah.
But
In a
like they
sense,
were they were enemies back in ancient Egypt.
right,
Like
right.
those spirits of the Millennium items, they were enemy. So maybe that's where I was getting the familiar.
So, and now that you say it, like that sounds like a similarity there. All right, so we'll have some like ancient parasite type thing in there, but let's get our protagonist and antagonist names in here.
So we're
Edmund Mark.
making Yu-Gi-Oh without the cards.
Edmund, Vince, Hannibal,
I mean, they could have some items too. I guess if we're doing
Ebenezer.
if an actual parasite,
Well, we're doing the actual Parasite, not make it.
actual parasite.
Yeah, world of like magic.
All right, what's our surfer guy's name? We need some.
Clay. That sounds like a surfer guy's name.
What's some Hawaii? I mean, that's a. What's some Hawaiian names?
The Rock.
Dwayne seems like he would be from Hawaii.
Kai.
I like the name Kai.
Kai. Koa.
Koa.
We can go with Kai. I think that's pretty on the money.
Kai, our main character.
And our pro tag, or excuse me, and tag.
Well, if they're Hawaiian, let's make our antagonist
Noah.
like a native Hawaiian. Make him like Samoan. Give him a Samoan name.
A lot of these names starts with K. K and L.
Tao, Pita, Nico, Levi, Vetu, Fiti, Simi.
There's one here with like I think it's pronounced Kane.
Kane sounds like an evil villain. We can go with that.
Kane with a K. That does sound like an evil villain.
Kane.
Okay. So we start off on the beach.
Are we gonna have a
beautiful
surf? Is our main character's friend? Is he gonna get infected too? Or is he just
like the side character? Not side character, but like
the sidekick.
Sidekick, yeah.
Is he gonna get infected too, or is he just participating?
I don't think he gets infected. So there's like these two parasites. They attach to their hosts, and they are going to do battle like they've been doing for centuries. All
right.
The sidekick name, that's a good thing to point out.
What's the new Spider-Man's name? Is Tom, right?
New Spider-Man?
Yeah, the actor name.
Oh, yeah. Tom something.
Well, I imagine the sidekick being like his best friend, Ned. Yeah. Ned, right?
I think it is Ned. That sounds right.
I imagine the sidekick being a character like Ned in the new Spider-Man. Just
Ned Leeds.
Just some kind of like nerdy person.
We can call his friend. Well, what if we just use the name Clay?
All right. Yeah, Kai and Clay.
Clay. Funny nerd or whatever. Yeah, that's cool. So let's work through what we have. So we need to establish that like their character, but also Kane's character, like he's not necessarily a bad guy. Or he's not a bad guy before everything starts.
Right. They could all be chilling at the beach.
Yeah.
Kai and Clay. Maybe Clay's not the surfing dude. Maybe he just chills on the beach. Kai's a surfing guy.
He records his surfs. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he records his surf for YouTube.
So on the beach, beautiful day.
Kane is trying to mind his own business. Maybe we see him getting bullied. That's the start of his villain arc.
Yeah. So we see some surfers. Pro tag hitting a great wave with his friend. Clay filming next to him.
I kind of want to knock out a word in the beginning.
What word?
So I was thinking.
Well, right now we're knocking out our picture as well. So maybe we can.
I was thinking maybe it starts off in Kai's bedroom. Like I was gonna say he bounces up.
Can you also use time and normal on the first one?
Yeah.
Time of day, sunset. It was a normal day, a normal, beautiful day.
Oh, that's right, because he was surfing at sunset.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. No, we'll go with the beach then. I thought that was the morning for a second. So they're on the beach.
Sunset. Time is sunset. It's a normal, beautiful day.
Kai is shredding a wave.
In Hawaii.
Kai is shredding a wave. Clay is capturing all the footage.
Yep. And Clay is filming next to him. They pull in, whatever. They get some cool footage. They pull in for the evening and see Kane being harassed.
And maybe they don't do anything.
No, they're not. They don't even know. Like they're just like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, they see
But even they see Kane being harassed or bullied by some other youths.
being bullied. Well, we should cut to a scene of how he's getting bullied. Maybe they're making him go buy cigarette,
That's not.
try to go make him go buy alcohol. Pretty much using him as a
They're
an errand boy.
they're beating him with a stick with some seaweed. I think we can just see them slap his board out of his hand and just kind of push him around. Be like, "Where'd you get this board? Like, let me borrow it." You know, basically trying to steal his board.
They're like, you're gonna let your good old pal borrow your board, right? And they
Exactly.
take it from him.
So they slap the board out of his hand. One of them takes the board and thanks him for letting him borrow it. You know, he wants it. Kai and Clay don't say anything and look down as
Kane
they don't want to be part of it either.
Kane and Kai should make eye contact. They should.
Okay. Kai looks up
Like,
and
Kane knows they're watching and they're not doing anything, so that fuels his resentment for later.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
And then
Makes eye contact with Kane, but nothing.
yeah,
Kai
right.
does nothing. The boys walk away, leaving Kane behind. Okay. They get to the local shack and eat dinner. While doing so, they discuss what happened to Kane and those local, like, I guess, gang and those local gang boys. Because, like, we also can introduce, like, this gang dynamic that eventually Kane will end up running. You know what I mean?
Well, it could be that, or they could just be, the stepping stone to him turning evil. Like he could just kill those guys.
Well, maybe one of them is the leader, and then he ends up killing him or whatever, and then he becomes the leader of that whole thing. Like they see him in a new light, and they're like, "Oh, this man is serious." Right? It's whatever we want, but I
All
think
right,
it should still be related to what the overall dynamics of their community. So, like
all
the
right.
local gang boys, we find out no one messes with them unless they want to.
With King, no one.
All right. So that's the conversation between Kai and Clay, at least. But, Kane is, whatever. I feel like, so this is actually good because we also demonstrated their willingness not to intervene. Like, they're also kind of, they're not brave. And then so once Kai starts doing this more brave thing, that's a difference in character. And same thing for Kane. He's not brave, but then it's like the opposite thing. Like, they're both not brave. Kane and Kai naturally are both not brave. But once
Right.
they're infected with this parasite, like, or not infected, but like once this parasite's in them, like how that manifests is completely, very different and similar. Like now they both have less fear, but they also are, one's helping bad things happen, and another one is not, like it's fighting against crime. I feel like the next thing that should happen should be on the beach. Like then, so this is like the end of this day, and then the next
Yep.
day, we end up getting more information, more like we see more about the gang. So, and ultimately, the beginning of the parasite stuff. Like, how old do you think these guys are? These boys. Okay,
College age. Put on at college age.
sure. All right.
And then
So
maybe next day they're at a surfing session.
let's add in a love interest then. So like Kai sees a girl he likes. This is at the same night, but he's too afraid to speak with her, and then that will be
So,
a juxtaposition to when he gets more confidence in his
so the
parasite.
Kai is gonna ask this girl out,
Parasite Kai has more swagger, as one would.
and then Parasite Kane also likes this girl. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe
He
actually,
could.
yeah. Why not?
She's Mary Jane.
Guy sees
Basically.
this girl he likes, but he's too afraid to talk to her. Clay tells him he needs to just go for it. Nothing to lose, so to speak. Right? They're still at this shack. Like I almost imagine it like a restaurant, but since it's on the island, like these islands have these shacks that pretty much are restaurants, but they're open concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he sees the girl he likes, whoever she is.
Yeah. So
We'll call her. Let's call her Alessa. Alessa.
that's
I'm getting that name. One of my favorite UFC fighters. His what? He's also Hawaiian. His wife's Hawaiian and a #1 surfer, and her name's Alessa.
okay. All right, I'm with it. All right. So
He's afraid to talk to her. This
Clay
is sounding a lot like Spider-Man.
well, I mean, sort of and sort of not yet, sort of. All right, so the next day we are at the beach. The surf is looking great.
Should we throw another bullying sequence?
Well, I think Kai, not Kai, excuse me, Kane. Kane sits alone on the sand
So I was thinking the bully comes back.
watching the
I
waves.
was thinking the bully comes back with the board, but now it's all messed up. It's got like,
Yeah, no, I think that's what ends up happening.
and
But
he's like, "Oh, my bad, Kane. I just hit a couple rocks."
yeah, I think in the beginning, like we just see him kind of sitting on the sand, like he doesn't have a board. We look out, or Kai looks out, and you see like the bully on his board, just riding out there.
Okay,
He's watching the
I'm with
waves,
you. Yep.
and the bully riding his board, right? So then, but Kai and Clay
They just do their own thing.
don't say anything and get ready. Here we go. Get ready to hit the water when the girl Kai likes walks past him with her friends and past Kane. Kane looks at her with love in his eyes. All right, whatever that means. You can tell this man's interested. All right,
Kai and Kane watch.
Kai hits the waves as the
Yep.
bully comes in or walks over.
Yep.
But now the board is broken or has a huge crack in it.
Say, yo, my bad, Kane.
The bully tells Kane he gave him a defective board.
Your mom bought you a cheap board.
It's, it was broken. Whatever.
Only says Kane's mom bought him.
Here's your board back. Then the bully turns his attention to Alessa
So everyone likes Alessa.
and asks for a date. She's that kind of girl. She got the power. He turns his attention to Alessa and asks for a date. Alessa rejects him, but the bully
All right, I think I know.
won't take that. We're just going lying down. He gets more aggressive, and Kane speaks up. He won't step in, but he speaks up.
Leave her alone
Bully turns around
and give Tekken.
that's right. And bleeding, bloodied and hurt. Alessa helps Kane to his feet and helps and takes him away. Like not necessarily away from the beach, but just away from that situation. Because like I'm about to like have him like wash his face or do something with the water, and in that moment they get like the transfer of the one parasite.
So how should Kai get it? Maybe he wipes
Well,
out.
Kai's in the waves. Like Kai he hit the waves, so he's gonna get it while surfing or something.
Yeah, maybe he wipes out and accidentally swallows some of the water too.
Right.
All right.
All right. So okay. So now it's all right. So we'll go back to Kai. Back to Kai and Clay. They are surfing and doing really well. I mean, Kai's killing it. They're surfing, same setup as yesterday. Then a wild rip wave comes in and knocks Kai off the board. He's in the water. I almost feel like when he gets this parasite, it should be like from the vantage point of the water, like, or the vantage point from the parasite as it like makes its way.
Yeah, it's traveling
It
as
travels
he's
from
like
him, yeah, from
as
the,
he's in the water,
yeah,
opening his mouth.
perspective of the parasite or this unknown thing. But for our purposes, we know it's the parasite. We see it, you know,
Traveling in the water.
that's right, traveling in the water, getting closer to Kai.
Getting closer
Kai accidentally
and
takes
enters Kai's mouth.
in a big gulp of water, and this thing gets in his mouth. Tries to cough it up. He doesn't know what's going on, but he, all that water, he just,
He's just coughing. Yeah. Kai's coughing from the seawater.
but nothing. Okay, so all right, so that
Now
has
we gotta show Kane's perspective.
exactly back. So basically, just to like finish this, Clay tells him to get on the board and try again. Off to surfing, right? So they're doing that. Back to Kane. Alessa is helping to wash up Kane's face. She gets a bowl seawater, and we have the same POV in the water as the parasite swims closer to the bowl. Now we travel with the bowl and down next to Kane. As Alessa washes his face, she tells Kane he was brave for what he did and thanks him. Tells her it's no big deal, that kind of thing. As she washes his face and around his mouth where he was punched, the parasite enters. Parasite enters Kane, of course. All right, so Alyssa or Alessa kisses, Kane's like cheek
Kisses him.
as a thank you. She doesn't mean it as like a, this is something. She means it more like this is a thank you for this. Thank you for.
Should Kai see that and get jealous? He's like, damn, Kane is getting all the action.
No, he doesn't have to see it because it doesn't matter. Kisses Kane's cheek as a thank you and walks away back to her friends. Kane sits there happy as hell until he looks at his board again with, what do we call this? Oh, he's angry with the bully. All right, cool. It's now, so we have about 25 minutes. It's now nighttime, and Kane is gone from the beach at this point. Kai and Clay.
Is this when they make their switch?
Yeah, but I feel like we have this thing, right? So Kai and Clay are, I won't even say nighttime. I'll just say it's evening. Kai and Clay are coming in for the night, let's say. Kai, oh no, Clay asks if Kai wants to hit the bar, but Kai declines as he doesn't feel well. All right, so you got this thing like he doesn't feel well, leading up to our moment here, right? Guy goes home, gets ready for bed, while trying to sleep, is in the worst night of his life. Stomach aches, the whole nine.
Yep.
Stomach aches and cramps and
He's having a terrible time.
lightheadedness, etc. So right, so you have this kind of scene where like he just has the worst time ever. Right? Okay. So then the morning comes and Kai was able to knock out and he wakes up off the ground.
He's on the ground?
Yeah, man, after this terrible night, man, we find him. He's on the ground, fighting for his life. That's where he finally fell asleep.
I thought you meant like, I thought you were going to do like he wakes up, but the parasite has already taken over and done some activities. And
I
he
mean, let's
just
talk
happened to.
about it, man. I mean, we could. So, should we have the parasite have done some activities?
I think that should happen to Kane, and he killed the bully.
Because
He
Kane was
wakes up
gone.
and sees blood on his
Kane was
hands.
gone earlier. You know what I mean? Like he could have. So maybe that's the news. I like that.
Kane wakes up and there's blood on his hands. He's like, checks all over. He's like, where am I hurt from?
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that better. Okay. Give me 2 seconds.
And then we do a flashback. It's Kane, walking around at night. Maybe he's stalking Alessa, being an evil man, but he sees the bully harassing Alessa again. And, Alessa gets away, and then he confronts the bully.
Yeah, I'm listening.
They get into a scuffle. The bully's laughing at him, maybe smacks him a few times. And Kane, now he's got like extra strength. Maybe punches the dude out or picks something up and smacks him
Clean his
real
body.
hard with it.
Kills.
Well, and then while the guy's on the ground, he's giving him punches on the ground while the bully's two friends are just watching in horror. He's like, "All right, Kane, like stop." But Kane keeps punching him and ends up killing the dude. And then maybe Kane has to dispose of those two guys too because they're witnesses.
Has to dispose. Yeah. Okay. So the morning comes, right? You get this little wake up thing. There's heavy knocks at the door. Guy opens it to find Clay in a panicked state. Clay tells Kai that there's been a murder. Is it just one?
Well, does
Kane
kill the main bully and
Yeah,
recruit his buddies, or does he just get rid of them all?
I think he gets rid of just one. Like the buddies don't even know. The buddies weren't with their friend. They don't have to be with their friend when they found out that they killed him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Okay, I'm with you.
Clay can get there and tells Kai, there's been a murder. That the main bully, we didn't even give this guy a name, has been killed, and no one knows who did it. Kai is shocked, etc. Then, as the panic subsides, Clay takes in Kai and looks him up and down. Have you been working out? Have you been working out?
He said, "Yo, you been drinking that protein?"
Kai asks him, "What do you mean?" He looks in
Did
the
you get a
mirror
little taller?
and finds he's stronger, or he's more muscular, etc. So we have about 18 minutes. So I gotta remember not to put down any dialogue. Once you start getting dialogue,
Oh, that takes up all the time. Yeah, we gotta.
So I'm trying to stay kind of broad. So
We gotta cruise.
This thing happens.
That's how we gotta cruise because we gotta get through these guys' activities.
That's right. So we have this thing here. Actually, yeah, we have to move. Okay,
so I think it shifts back to Kane now.
Yeah,
and Kane is like looking down at his fists. And maybe it's all bruised up or it's
Kane
bloody.
is just waking, like just woke up. I mean, we're not seeing him wake up, but yeah, he's like, "What has happened?"
He sees blood on his sheets, and he's like, "Whoa!" Looks at his right hand; it's all bruised up.
Sees his bruised up, and his sheets covered blood. Right. So so Kane has this thing.
Well, now we gotta show the flashback now. I think.
So, does he have the flashback?
For the audience, not him. Like, it shows him looking at his fist, it's all bruised up, and then it flashes back to what happened last night.
Yeah, but I'm saying, does he remember that? Like, is he having that as a memory?
Oh, no. He doesn't have a clue.
Okay.
That's Parasite Kane.
We can do that. That's fine. If we were refining this, we had to be careful with that sequence of events because it makes it feel like Kane is the one having that memory, and it's not a flashback, or it's a flashback that he's remembering, and that's not the intent. So I mean, that's fine. I mean, this is just an outline, but that's just something.
Okay. Yep.
Kane has a flashback of, or excuse. See, I'm getting myself confused.
Well, I could show like
We
earlier
see a flashback of what happened to the main bully. He was stabbed repeatedly. So I'll just say we see what happened to the main bully. Back to Kai and Clay. They are walking in the main town area. That's the crime scene. There are people gathered. In the crowd is Kane with his hands pushed into his pockets. Okay, so we have this. So now we got to do some jumping of 15 minutes. So the overall kind of arc here, I'm just going to kind of put some bones out there without any clear steps, like next steps. So it's like, so you have this little thing happening in town. At some point, the night comes back and Kai awakes in the middle of it to fight crime.
He's wandering around town. Maybe he sees like a mugging or something. He goes up.
Yeah.
Beats the thief up.
He sees a mugging and beats the thief up and ties them up for the police. And then Kane enters the crime family. I don't want to say crime family, but the crime org later, and they punk him.
He says, "Who's your boss?"
Yeah, but he takes over their org by
we'll improvise some details.
beating up the boss.
Takes over the org.
Whew. So the night comes back. Kane enters the crime org, and we have this sequence where he beats up the boss, and and they all pled to him. Kai awakes in the middle of the night as well. He sees a mugging. He beats up the thief, ties him up for the police. Police are happy. He stopped the mugging. I mean, it's like the difference of it. No, actually, maybe we don't put the police in there, so he can't. No one knows. Or maybe we do. So that makes it easier for us to be like, the police are like, "Hey, thank you again." He's like, "What are you guys talking about?"
Oh yeah.
I'm happy he stopped the mugging.
Or maybe the person that was getting mugged thanks him.
Yeah.
He doesn't know who the hell that is.
The next day, the person getting mugged thanks him.
Maybe it's another cute girl and he's sitting with Clay. She comes over, thanks him.
Oh yeah, the next day the person getting mugged gives him a kiss
on the cheek, and Clay's like, "Yo, what? Who is that?"
And thanks him for last night. Cute girl comes over, gives him a kiss, and thanks him for last night. Clay's gonna be like, "What in the world are you talking about? What's going on?" All right, about 11 minutes. She walks away. Clay's confused. The news is talking about the new. All right, so we're gonna do some jumping here. Clay's confused. The town is experiencing more crime, and someone is
drug overdosing.
Is out there stopping criminals.
A vigilante.
Who is this vigilante? Right, and then there's also it's also experiencing more crime just because there's a new boss, but no one knows that just yet. All right, so news is talking about the new crime wave, etc. Okay, eventually, at some point, you have Kane wants to put an end to the vigilante so he can commit his biggest crime without getting caught. They want to rob a bank, but first capture and kill
maybe
vigilante.
Running out of time here, but maybe they are trying to rob the bank. like Kane and his goons, and then Kai comes in and like thwarts their attempts or something, and that's what makes Kane put a bounty on this
I mean,
vigilante
we'll
terror.
just have to put a bounty on him from before, so that way, like, we're leading up to this bank robbery. Because it's like I don't know if we have the time, but because like
Okay.
it pretty much it does the same thing, but like we're just saying, hey, there's this big thing, and now Kane can't ignore him. Like he thinks like eventually his guys will get him, but now it's just like, nope, we have to get him in order for us to do this big thing. So it puts like the clock on the story.
Okay.
So first they have to get this vigilante. So they place in a trap of a crime. I don't even know what kind of crime, some kind of crime, where Kai will show up.
Gotta use the words facts and digress.
Fair enough. Did we use? Oh yeah, we did use Parasite and
I think
surfing.
balance time and normal we could throw in the beginning.
So
Facts
yeah, time and normal we already have in the very beginning.
and bounce is easy because you can bounce on the waves.
Someone's about to get bounced when they fight.
Well, that too.
Kai's about to bounce someone right about the building.
Gotta use facts somehow.
Or when you have this news thing, hold on. So the news is talking about new crime wave, etc. Caster. We just received a fax that the new crime lord is being led. That the old crime lord has been replaced by who? We do not know. But stay with us as we will. I don't even know. Tell you when we find out or whatever. Just whatever.
Okay.
Oh man, 6 minutes. We might have to do another one.
I have to improvise this ending.
So we place in a trap, right? So Kai shows up.
So,
Excuse me. We place like a crime trap. Kai shows up, and Kane steps out to fight him. So this is both of them in their like altered state. You know what I mean?
yeah.
During this fight, the
I get eventually gets the better of him.
evil. During this fight, we see an aura on them. So it's like some of this ancient parasite thing going on here.
Yep.
So neither one is going to win this fight. Blah, blah.
I'm writing some things down here
All right.
just in case we have to
Oh, we're definitely going to have to pick like about four
improvise.
minutes now.
So I have Kane. Kai gets the better of Kane, knocks him out, notices the time.
Yeah.
The sun is about to come up, so he's about to switch over to regular Kai. So he sets up an ice bath for Kane, ties him up and throws him in there just to subdue the parasite.
Okay.
The sun comes up.
Yeah.
Kai wakes up, doesn't know why he's in this warehouse they're fighting at. Sees Kane knocked out in an ice tub, like helps him out. Let's see. I think we should just, for the sake of time, just end on a cliffhanger because I have the trap just to add more detail.
Yeah.
Just keep it broad. Kane kidnaps Clay, and then the parasite that got out of Kane has entered Clay, and that's kind of how it ends.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I'm cool with that. And we can add more. I mean, there's some stuff here like can add in Clay finding out and helping out. We also have the Alessa thing, but that we might not travel too far into that right now.
We don't have enough time to bring her back.
No, we don't.
She's just a random instance in a story for now.
Okay.
Enter.
As far as the words, we have under 2 minutes at this point. So bounce. I'm about to say someone's getting bounced off the wall. I'm telling you right now.
No, I think bounce should be incorporated when Kane beats up the bully, bounces his head off the concrete as he's beating him up. Digress, I just put in just for improvisation later when Kane and Kai, go for their showdown. Kane can just, since they have the memories are intact, Kane could just tell Kai about how Kai was always there when Kane was getting bullied, but offered no help. But he's like, but I digress. It's time for you to die.
You mean during that final sequence there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could.
I don't know how else to use it with our
Yeah.
with our remaining time.
Yeah, we definitely could. All right. We have 41 seconds. So I'll let you use digress there. And hold on. Too many ideas. But this was a good one. And
This is an interesting one.
it's down to 4 seconds. 2, and there goes the timer.
Well, there goes our first superhero story that we've attempted.
Yeah, you know what it reminds me of actually? There was that what was it, Kick Ass? Yeah.
Kick ass.
I forgot about that.
Yep.
All right. So I can walk us through.
You want to do the beginning
Yeah.
until Kane wakes up, and then I could do the sequence of the flashback until the end.
So Kane wakes up. Where does he wake up?
He wakes up and finds blood on his sheets, and then I could do the flashback. I have an idea for that.
Yeah. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Sheets. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
There's gotta be some details improvised towards the end.
Yeah.
We'll see what I come up with.
About to be even slightly improvised from the beginning.
This is one of those stories that time might have gotten the better of us, but still, we got something that has beginning, middle, and
at the end of the day, we have something.
That's just part of the process. That's what happens, and this is why we do this.
That's right.
Get something out.
That's
okay,
right.
So to recap for everyone, our 5 words that we generated were bounce, time, normal, facts, and digress. We generated 2 random pictures. The first picture was of a man surfing during sunset. The second picture was an AI-generated parasite. Very creepy looking thing. Would rather not describe it, but you could use your imaginations. It looks like a sea anemone thing with a bunch of tubes. But yeah, parasite. And this is our story. If you want to take us away, Dave.
Prepare my voice here. All right. We start on the beach. The time is somewhere around sunset on a normal, beautiful day in Hawaii. The waves are still crashing in, and we see a bunch of surfers out in the midst of the waves, riding and going up and down with them. It's out there on the water that we find our protagonist, Kai, who's hitting a great big wave with his friend Clay filming behind him using a GoPro. Kai hits a huge wave and launches and catches some air. Comes down and somehow sticks the landing. Kai tells him that was amazing. He hopes he caught it on the camera. They come in as the sun starts to pass the horizon. As they're walking together, talking about how sweet of a surf session they just had, they look over to see someone that they've seen multiple times but never really spoke to, a man named Kane. Kane is being harassed by some of the local gang boys. The main group leader of this smaller group of a bigger crime organization slaps the board out of his hand. Just give me a second here. Gotta pause it. This sun is killing my eyes. Can't see anything. Jeez. All right.
I was muted, but I was saying it's killing my eyes too. That's why I'm leaning forward.
I was trying to read that and it's just blinding me. I was just like, oh, I can't see. Now I have those dots. All right. There we go.
Infected.
Whoa. There we go. All right. I'll just start from the top of that one. Okay. So as Kai and Clay look over, they see Kane being harassed by the local bullies. These bullies are part of a crime organization that have been terrorizing the town. The leader of this group slaps the surfboard out of Kane's hands and picks it up and takes it with him and says, "Thank you for letting me borrow it." All Kane can do is watch. Too small, too weak, too scared to fight back. Kai and Clay watch this whole thing unfold, but they don't want to be targeted either. They don't say a word. Instead, Kai ends up making eye contact with Kane, but they continue to walk on, leaving Kane on the beach. They get to the local shack, which is more or less a bar, and begin to eat dinner. While there, they discuss the footage, they discuss the awesome waves, but they also discuss the crimes that's been happening by the local gang and how unfair it is and messed up it is. They just harass people for no real rhyme or reason. Really, no one wants to mess with them because they don't want to be hurt or worse, killed. As they discuss what's going on in their town, Kai sees a local girl that he's had the fancy on for quite some time. Her name is Alessa. As soon as she passes by, he looks down, trying not to make eye contact. He's afraid. Clay sees this. It's not that he's any better with girls, but he doesn't have the hots for her, so he doesn't feel the need to be worried. Instead, like any good friend slash wingman, he tells him to go for it. He has nothing to lose. But Kai can't pull himself to do it. No one is really surprised. Certainly not Clay. They end their day, they leave the shack, and look forward to a beautiful day at the beach tomorrow. The next day arises, and everyone's at the beach. It's what the locals do. It's how their society moves. They, as Kai looks out, the surf looks great. But unfortunately, sitting alone is Kane, watching the waves and watching the bully from the gang ride his board. All he can do is hope that he'll get it back at some point so he can also catch some waves. Kai and Clay hit the water. As they do, Alessa walks past them and past Kane. The way Kane looks at her, you can just tell he got the hots for her. He likes her, but what's he going to do? She walks over to her friend group and they begin to talk and laugh and hang out. A couple moments go by and one of the gang members who has the board comes on in and tells Kane there's a huge crack in it. Now he can't ride it anymore. She ought to get him a new board since this one's obviously defective. Kane sits there fuming, but knowing better than to ball a fist or to shout back. So at that point, this guy looks over and sees Alessa. He, like all the other guys around this town, also fancies her. He walks a bit closer to her and asks for a date. Alessa rejects him respectfully, but he won't take this lying down. He walks over to her, grabs her wrists, and says, "No one says no to me." It's at this moment Kane can't take this. He stands up and speaks up, tells them to stop and let her go. The bully turns his head. "Quick, who said that?" To his disbelief, Kane, who's standing there like a hero, even though he's afraid on the inside, tells him to let her go. The bully walks over to him, says, all right, disarming him, disarming Kane, thinking that he's just going to stop and leave it be. But no, he pops Kane right in the mouth. Kane drops. He gives him a couple good kicks to the ribs and walks away. Kane is bloodied and bruised. Alessa walks over to him and helps him up and takes him away. As we go back to Kai and Clay, who are in the middle of the surf, they're over here riding some wild waves when all of a sudden a riptide comes and Kay gets knocked off his board. It's all right. He's in the water. He's about to get back on. But all of a sudden, our POV shifts and we're in the water traveling towards Kai, getting closer, getting whatever this entity is, getting closer and closer. Kay accidentally takes a big gulp of water and this thing goes into his mouth. He doesn't know it yet, but he just swallowed a parasite. Kai tries to cough up the water, but whatever. Nothing's really coming out. Doesn't think too much about it. Clay tells him to get back on the board, and they'll get going and they'll try it again. Off to surfing. The day's not over. Back to Kane, Alyssa is helping wash up his face. As she does this, she grabs a bowl of water from the sea, a bowl of seawater, and we have the same POV. This parasite swims closer and lands in the bowl. Alyssa doesn't know this, but she picks the bowl up and walks it back towards Kane. She starts to wash his face, and as she does, this parasite enters in through his mouth. She tells Kane that she's thankful for what he did and that he's brave. Kane barely knows what to say, but he tells her it's no big deal. And she says, well, it is for me. She kisses him on the cheek and walks back to her friends. Kane sits there happy as hell. He just got a kiss from the girl he likes, feeling like $1,000,000 until he looks down and sees his surfboard again, all busted up. His smile turns upside down and he gets angry. Angry at what the local bully just did to him and his board. We go back to Kai and Clay as they come in for the evening. Kane is nowhere to be found. Not that they were looking for him anyway, but he's off the beach. Clay asks Kai if he wants to go to the bar again. Same shack, same place, as they've done time and time again, like routine, as if they were brushing their teeth. But this time, Kai declines. It's out of character, but he's not feeling too well. Clay asks if he's okay. Kai says, yeah, I will be in the morning, but for now I just need to go home. Clay does not bother to press it and says he'll come for him in the morning. Kai gets home. He's stumbling, falling over. He gets ready for bed, tries to go to sleep, and has the worst night of his life. His stomach is aching, cramping. His head is all over the place. He's having the night sweats. By morning, we hear a loud knock at the door. We come to find Kai has spent most of the night on the ground, but he's able to manage to get to his feet and get to the door and open it. He finds Clay in a panicked state. Clay tells him about what's going on in the town. He tells Kai that there's been a murder. The same bully that's been bullying everyone, and Kane most recently, has been killed, and no one knows who did it. Kai is shocked. When did this happen? Sometime last night, but who knows? You think Kane might have done something? Kai shakes his head. There's no way. Kane would never. He's too afraid of his own shadow. Clay agrees, and they leave it at that. It's at this time that Clay takes the moment to look him up and down. Have you been working out? Asks Clay. Kai doesn't understand what he means, but he realizes that Clay is looking him up and down. And as he gets up to look in the mirror, he notices that he's become more muscular, a bit leaner. I must have been hitting these waves from every single day, and I've got stronger. Who knows? Clay's like, he needs to continue to hit the waves himself, apparently, so he can also get stronger and leaner. As this moment comes to an end, we shift back to Kane's also in his own room. Confused, he's looking down at his fists. They're bloodied and bruised up, but even worse, his sheets are covered in blood. What could have caused this? He doesn't know.
It flashes back earlier last night. We see Kane stumbling around outside his house into the town. We get a first-person POV of him. His vision is blurry. He's just getting used to his surroundings. This is the parasite that's just getting used to Kane's body. All of a sudden, Kane's persona, who's been taken over by the parasite, he spots a familiar face. He sees the bully walking into a convenience store. Parasite doesn't know, but his body is filled with rage. His blood starts boiling, and he sees red. So Kane waits patiently outside the convenience store in an alley. Waits until the bully comes out, buying his honey buns and soda and whatever else. And Kane confronts the bully. The bully laughs at Kane, saying, "What are you doing here, shrimp?" And calls him some other names. Kane says, "I want you to leave Alessa alone, and I want you to buy me a new surfboard." The bully laughs at Kane. He says, "Who do you think you're speaking to?" And gives Kane a smack on the face, bruising Kane's face a little bit. Kane looks up with angry eyes. The bully looks him deep in the eyes. Like, "Oh, is little Kane angry?" Are you going to do something about it? And leans his face forward. Hit me then. Kane clenches up his right fist and smashes the bully across his face. Harder than usual. This knocks the bully down to the ground. And Kane immediately pounces on top, takes full mount, and starts bouncing the bully's head off the concrete with right and left punches. The bully is telling Kane to stop, but Kane is not stopping. He just keeps on punching and punching. See blood just splattering everywhere. Some gets on Kane's face, his clothes, his fists, and we see after Kane gets up and the bully is beaten down, presumably dead now, he takes off all his clothes and throws it into a dumpster nearby and returns home, since the sun is now coming up. Later that night as well, or another night, the next day, there's a knocking at Kane's door. They show up to the crime scene. Kane is at the crime scene where the bully is dead. He pushes his hands into his pockets, not knowing if he has a connection to this. And later that night, we see Kai now, who's being possessed by his parasite. He's stumbling around, and he sees a mugging that's happening. So he runs up to the mugger and beats the thief up, saving the girl and giving her back her purse. He ties up the thief and leaves it for the police. In the meantime, we switch over to Kane. Kane is entering the back door of a store. There's a backroom casino going on, some underground poker playing. Kane walks in there and everybody stares at him. The two guards at the door laugh at him. He's like, "Kid, go home." Kane's like, "Who's your boss here?" The room erupts in laughter. One of the guards tries to put his hands on Kane, and Kane Spartan kicks him across the room over some poker tables. The other guard's like, "Hey, what the hell, kid?" Tries to grab him. Kane gives him a good kick in the leg, breaking his leg as the guy falls to the ground screaming in pain. Kane kicks him in the face. We see the boss stand up from the poker table in the back. He's like, "I don't know who you are, kid, but you're dead now." Kane slowly walks over. People are trying to stop him, but he first fights them off. The boss is like, "All right, we got your point. So what do you want?" Kane says, "I want to run this place. I want to be the boss now." The boss laughs at him. He says, "If you want to join us, you got to start at the bottom. That's just how it works. But we'd love to have you. You got guts, and you can obviously fight." Kane looks at the ashtray that's on the table. He picks it up, and he just smashes it over the boss's head, instantly killing the guy. Takes the boss's head, and for good measure, just keeps smashing it against the poker table. Everyone is watching in horror, and throws his lifeless body to the side. Kane takes the seat of where the boss was sitting, picks up the cigar the guy was smoking, starts smoking it, looks at the dealer, and says, "Deal the cards." The next day, we see news reporting there's more crimes happening in the town where they're staying at, but there's also reports of a masked vigilante, or a mysterious vigilante, stopping all these crimes as well. And while the anchor or the caster is reporting on this news, they get a fax of some breaking news. The anchor puts his hand towards his ear. He's like, "Hold on, there's some breaking news. Infamous crime boss has been found dead near the shores." Now, no one knows if this is the end of the crime organization. The people seem happy that this dangerous guy is out of their way, but they don't know an even more dangerous fellow has taken his place. So we go through a sequence of scenes where Kane is trying to do crimes within the town, simple robberies, kidnappings, but it keeps getting thwarted by Kai. He just happens to be in the right place at the right time every single time. No idea why. Eventually, one night, Kai and Kane are both out, and Kane sees two figures trying to break into a house, and he sees Kai sneaking up from behind. Can't see him clearly just yet, but Kai approaches the two robbers trying to break into this house and beats them both up. And in the streetlight, Kane recognizes the face of Kai. So now Kane knows who this vigilante is, who's been just ruining his plans, stopping him from robbing banks and doing whatever he wants around the town. So now Kane has to set up a trap to get Kai. The next day, I realize I skipped the part. The next day, Kai is sitting with Clay, and a young woman approaches them. Or she approaches Kai, actually. She leans down and gives Kai a kiss on the cheek and says, "Thank you for last night," and leaves a sheet of paper, a napkin, with her number on it, and walks away. Clay is looking at Kai, all types of confused. He's like, "What did you do last night?" And Kai looks at him. He's like, "I don't know who that is." He has no idea, but this is sweet. Later that night, Clay is off by himself, picking up something at the local store, and Kane gives the signal, and two guys put a bag over Clay's head, and they take him in. And that was the last we hear of Clay. The next day, Kai gets a voice note from Clay. He answers it. He checks it. He doesn't know what Clay is saying, but it's not Clay that's on the voice note. It's Kane. He said, "I have Clay." Sends him a picture of Clay, all tied up and beat up. He says, "If you want your friend to be alive, you'll show up at this warehouse at this particular night." Kai has no idea what's going on. Doesn't know if he should go to the police or not, but he doesn't want to risk it either. So he waits till night, and as night approaches, regular day Kai knocks out, and parasitic Kai awakens. And Kai goes towards this warehouse that's being used for storing fish and other seafood. Kai enters the warehouse. He has a confrontation with Kane. Kane gives a dialogue of how Kai has seen Kane get bullied all this time but has done nothing. So now he's just as bad as those bullies. He looks over at Clay. He says, "I'm going to get rid of your friend and you, but who should I get rid of first?" A battle ensues between the parasitic versions of Kai and Kane. They both fight each other on rafters, boxes. They're just causing chaos everywhere. Eventually, Kai gets the better of Kane, knocks him out. Since they're conveniently in a fish market warehouse, he starts grabbing bags of ice. We don't know why. He sets up a little tub, starts pouring ice in there, starts pouring water in there, and essentially makes a cold plunge. He unties Clay using the same ropes. He ties up Kane and plunges Kane's body into the tub. Meanwhile, Kai notices the time. The sun is almost up. He has to set up a plan on how to escape this place, or even get a message to the other Kai on what has transpired. But the best thing he could do right now is just to make sure Clay and Kai are just in a safe place. He dials 911, tells them that there's something has happened in this warehouse. The sun rises up, and Kai knocks out. Once the sun is up, Kai and Clay awaken. Kai has no idea what's going on. He sees Clay beat up next to him. He's like, "Holy crap, what'd we do?" Clay looks over at Kane, and Clay says, "That psycho over there kidnapped me, and they beat me up." And Kai's like, "Kane? The quiet kid?" And he sees Kane in the ice tub, and he freaks out. He's like, "Why is Kane in the ice tub?" So they get Kane out of the ice tub. His body's cold. His skin is just pale. They untie him. The police end up coming. They gather reports and whatnot. And as they're taking the three kids to get them medically examined, we see kind of like an X-ray vision of all the folks. And we see this parasite that's inside Clay's body, swimming up to where his brain is. The end.
I thought for a second there you were going to have the police come in and just start unloading on them for potentially thinking they killed Kane. Like, what's going on here? You guys are caught in the act. Definitely.
Well, that was an option.
Yeah.
But man, that was all developed within the last few minutes or so.
That sure was. But you know what? I think the outline is it's okay. I think the overall story premise and what we got as far as like how the story would kind of work if we had more time is gold. I think there's a lot in there to really make something cool. But you know what time it is.
It's time to see what the AI produces. And honestly, it might come pretty close today.
It might. Sometimes we think that, and then it does just abysmal. So we'll find out.
That's right. We got all our words. We hit everything. We got a cool premise. We just did not have enough time to make it into that great of a story. But we got it done. We got it down.
It's done. It's down. And it's a place to start from. If you guys were making your own, guess what? When you come back to it, you add in all those little details that we had to kind of skip over or abbreviate in a sense. That's kind of the purpose of an outline. Give you a place to start, give you a place to come back to.
That's right. All right, let's see what our AI counterpart can come up with. All right, so can you come up with a story using the words bounce, time, normal, facts, and digress as themes or words in the story? Also include the scenes of a man surfing at sunset. At sunset, use a parasitic infection as the cause of conflict of the main conflict in the story too. Should we give it like our premise where it turns into superheroes or no?
Absolutely not. That was a one-time thing last time just to see what it would do off of that topic. But I think we should let it kind of ride out with these words and the scenes.
All right, let's see what it creates. Okay, we got Sam.
Oh, your computer screen disappeared.
Did it?
Yeah.
I can still see it.
Yeah. I got the good old ... But that's okay. You'll read it.
Oh, it's going. I think it's going with the angle of one of our earlier ideas.
Mm.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know why these guys are making it so complicated. Oh, there goes your computer screen. Oh, yeah, the treatment idea. Yeah.
Yep. From
that day on, Sam continued to surf at sunset.
Okay, so we have Surfing Triumph.
Okay.
By ChatGPT-4. All right, so once upon a time in a picturesque coastal town, there lived a man named Sam. Sam was a laid-back individual with a simple life, and he loved nothing more than to surf at sunset. Every evening, without fail, he would grab his surfboard and head to the beach, where the orange hues of the setting sun danced on the water. One fateful evening, after a particularly exhilarating surf session, Sam felt a strange sensation in his foot. It seemed to bounce with every step, and he assumed that he had just injured himself while catching a wave. However, as time went on, the sensation persisted, and his foot began to swell. Worried, he decided to consult his doctor. At the clinic, the doctor examined Sam's foot and ordered some tests. In the meantime, he recommended Sam rest and avoid putting any pressure on it. I'll fax you the results as soon as I have them, the doctor assured him. Feeling uneasy, Sam headed home, hoping for a quick return to normalcy. However, he couldn't shake off the nagging feeling that something was terribly wrong. He spent the next few days anxiously waiting for the test results. When the fax finally came through, it revealed something shocking. Sam had a rare parasitic infection. To digress for a moment, this particular parasite was known to burrow into the flesh of its host, causing intense pain and discomfort. The doctor explained that it was typically found in tropical waters, and it seemed Sam had inadvertently picked it up during one of his sunset surf sessions.
Mm.
With the diagnosis in hand, Sam embarked on a difficult journey to rid himself of the parasite. The treatment was long and painful and took a toll on both his physical and mental health. He longed to surf again, to feel the ocean's embrace, but he knew he couldn't risk further harm. As Sam struggled through the treatment, he found solace in the memories of his surfing adventures, the sunsets he had witnessed, and the joy it brought to his life. He vowed to himself that he would overcome this challenge and return to his beloved waves once more. Eventually, after months of treatment and recovery, Sam triumphed over the parasitic infection. He was finally free of the parasite and had regained his strength. The first thing he did was head to the beach, surfboard in hand, and watch the sunset over the horizon. Sam's ordeal taught him to cherish the simple moments in life, and he never took his time in the water for granted again. The sunsets held a deeper meaning for him now, a reminder of the resilience and determination that had seen him through the darkest days of his life. From that day on, Sam continued to surf at sunset, enjoying the ocean's calm embrace. With each wave he caught, he celebrated his triumph over adversity and the resilience of the human spirit.
Man, that story is boring, man. I think what we attempted was way more interesting.
Yeah, it's way more interesting, entertaining.
Like, that story was boring. And listen, that was like one of the ideas that we had to start, just because it's like, here's a simple idea real quick, and it ends up with him, getting better or whatever. That's what that story was. But like, ultimately, it's just A, B, C story, and just super boring.
Yeah. Like, you know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. Like, this story, honestly, even if you were to go back and try to change it, it can go in so many crazy directions and so many different endings. Like, there's more options to how you end it, more options to what could happen. I mean, the girl could come back in there, and then that could be a battle. Like, we have more stones that could be flipped with our current story. So
that's right.
I think, surprisingly, we still came out on top with a more interesting story.
Oh, for sure. I think this one's not even close, even though we didn't have much time to flush ours out. Just the premise itself.
It's just better.
Just better. Way better. Now we got to come up with a title for our story.
Kane's Revenge. No. Kane's Revenge on his bullies, on the gang.
Parasite.
Parasites.
Ancient parasites.
Big Surf.
The superhero inside me.
The parasite inside me. Something super ambiguous. Beach Day.
2 lives. Almost thinking like a Dr. Jekyll and Hyde type thing. Multiple personalities. The host.
That's certainly been done. But the host.
Infected.
It comes by night.
Nightlife.
Nighttime heroes.
Let's see.
The Leech. Or the Freeloader.
The Freeloader. Surfing Parasite. Surfs Up.
Surfs Up. It's not bad.
What happens at night stays at night.
What happens at night? Break.
Blackout.
Like break waves, but also breaking people. Carve.
Blackout. Because they have no idea what's going on at night.
Blackout. Blackout. I don't know. I feel like the Parasites is the most obvious one.
The Other Me.
The Other Parasite.
The Other Parasite. 2 different lives.
Out of juice when it came to the title, huh?
Yeah, this one's a hard one to title.
Live by night.
By night?
Oh, just by night?
Oh, what did you say? I
said
live by night.
By
night. Could work. I could work too.
The Evening Parasites.
Come alive at night.
Well, let's just give it a name. We're just going to go by night.
Yeah, we could use by night. By night. That was a hard one to title.
Extremely hard one.
But you heard it there, folks. By night. Episode 22 comes to an end. We'll be back next week. New set of words, new pictures, and a new story.
Yes.
Talk to you guys then.
See ya.